I want to tell you about something that God did with me today, and I say He did this with me. People who do not have understanding would say that He did this to them. The reality is that He did this with me. And when you're disciplining your child, you're not doing it to them. You're suffering too. You're experiencing that as well. Investing in them as well. And that's definitely what He was doing with me. When God first called me to Himself, one of the things that He said to me was that I needed to promise to never turn my face from Him. And in the days subsequent to that, I realized just how many times I turned my face from Him and thought that I was living my spiritual life with Him, and then I was living a different life at times that He wasn't privy to or wasn't laid bare before Him. So it began to shape me, and it began to cause me to realize that He's with me all the time and that I need to fan into Him all the time. And so I've lived that out. It changed my life. It changed the way that I related with Him. It caused me to just be in Him all the time. At least I thought that I was in Him all the time. The majority of the time I am. But I've started to do things like when my daughter was going to give birth to Jeremiah, I started to check my phone a little bit more frequently and think, well, just in case the kids message me. So I would check to see if they had messaged me, and then check my other text messages. And then, well, might as well check my email while I'm at it. Might as well check the news while I'm at it. And then it started to become, okay, yes, I'm getting ready to sit with you, but let me just do this. Let me just do this real quick, God. It wasn't so much that I was doing something wrong and turning away to go do something wrong, but it was putting Him on the back burner. I was talking to my daughter about this a little while ago, and she was saying, yeah, it's like we're saying, like, God, just wait a sec. And she said it's just so important that we're always staying in the Spirit. She started telling me about, she had previously told me about watching a TV show, and like the TV show was, oh, this is okay, and then there's nothing, just seems pretty innocent. And then there started to be things, now she's into the TV show, and there started to be other things that were popping up that weren't okay. Then you try to overlook it because now you're invested in it, when, from the very beginning, watching a TV show is you're inhabiting yourself with that TV show now, not with the voice of God, not with the presence of God. And she was telling me about a video game that popped up on her phone, and it's so insidious. And how the video game then becomes this full-time job of, oh, well, you need to it was like a farming video game or something, like where you need to put more crops in the basket. I don't know. Now that's occupying you, and you're thinking about, I'm up right now nursing the baby, so I might as well just go ahead and get that crop and put it in the basket. It starts off innocent, and then it starts to enslave you and preoccupy you and occupy you. So I'll tell you what He did with me. I went outside to groom my dogs, which is like my least favorite thing to do. I'd rather eat a bowl of dirt. They hate me grooming them, but none of us have a choice here. So I put my little Winnie mugs. She's very good about letting me trim her, but when it comes to her nails, she hates me doing her nails. So I put her up in the hammock, and she's just sort of hanging there, and she's wiggling around, and I cut the quick. My poor little girl, and she's dripping blood on the table, hanging from that hammock, dripping little drops of blood from the quick. And I just felt so bad. I felt so bad that I did that. And then I get the other one up there, and she's being a turd. And so I had to discipline her to sit still and put her in these little leashes and things like that, hold her in place. So I was dealing with that, and then I came inside, and God started pressing on me, your rod and staff, they comfort me. And so I went to Psalm 23, and I started reading about rod and staff, and I started looking up, well, what do rod and staff mean? I saw that staff is something that really, it was used for support, like a walking stick or to lean on. The rod is really used for discipline. It was used for beatings in order to put people in the right standing. But then I started thinking, okay, so it was used for beatings, but surely God would not, He doesn't allow us to beat somebody senseless. That's not his intention. I mean, he says, I don't give grief willingly. And as I was contemplating this, he put me in so much pain for 2 hours straight, like relentless pain. I'm not even kidding. If I had a little bit more pain, I would have died. I feel like I would have died. And I was laying there thinking, oh my gosh, if this is what hell is like, I'll do anything. I'll listen, I'll obey. And I was saying, please, is it this? Is it that? What is it? What did I do here? What are you dealing with me on? And I'm not even kidding. For 2 hours, I was in such excruciating pain. I even at one point tried to plead my case. I was like, I don't take any medicine. I don't take any painkillers to make this go away. I just receive what you do. And then I stopped and thought, like, what am I trying to prove right now? He's doing something. He's obviously dealing with me on something. So many things went through my mind. Like, what's it going to be like when I, during those 10 days when I'm in prison before I die? Is he like trying to show me, or am I being sifted? What's going on right now? But towards the end of that 2 hours, so, I mean, I was like, tried to get heat packs to make me feel better. I tried to lay on my back, tried to lay on my side, on my stomach, on the floor, the cold floor. I went in the bath, tried to lay on my side, my back. Oh my gosh, it was so painful. I hunched over, tried to stretch. It was just relentless. Like if you've ever been in labor, there's like a little bit of a reprieve, unless you're Victoria. She didn't get a reprieve at all between contractions, but this was nonstop. There was no minute reprieve or half a minute reprieve. And then towards the end of those 2 hours, he said, you cannot take me for granted. You cannot take me for granted. And I knew exactly what he was talking about. Like, I knew immediately what he was talking about. What I will tell you that I did not think that I was taking God for granted. I really didn't. I don't think anyone else would say that I was taking God for granted, but I am. I mean, that's his definition. If I am using anything else, to occupy me, and when he's calling me in, I'm saying, wait a minute, God, but let me just taking him for granted. I mean, that is absolutely right. So I deleted my little news app on my phone. That's too much of a temptation. If I didn't need other things on my phone, like when I'm away, then I'd delete those too. But I never want to go through that again. I'm so serious about making sure that I'm not taking him for granted anymore. So then he started putting this picture together for me, and I know that, this might, maybe you already put it together, but I hadn't put it together. Once he said that, then I understood what had gone on with the dogs. Like, if you're going to wiggle around, you're going to get cut. If you're not going to sit and receive this teaching in this building, and you're going to distract yourself or put God on the back burner until you're done distracting yourself for the moment and then try to pick him up, you're going to get cut. If you're going to fight me, you're going to have to be bound in these different leashes. You're going to be tamed like an unruly calf, because that's what you're choosing to be. And if you think it's no big deal to take God for granted, you're going to feel what it feels like to long for death, but death will elude you. You're going to feel what it feels like to be tormented without any reprieve. God does not mess around with me. He deals with me really sternly. And I'm so comforted by it, to be honest. I'm very comforted by the rod and the staff, because he wouldn't be doing this with the wicked. He wouldn't be doing this with anybody else but his own. And I started thinking about someone I recently had to discipline and how they reacted to me. So I was thinking about being on the other end of that as a shepherd and trying to discipline someone in love and in truth, and having them react and become disrespectful and accusatory, and to not respect and appreciate the discipline that I was giving. And God was using it to help me to understand how I need to be sharpened with him, how I need to regard him, that it's not okay for me to loathe anything that he's doing, or try to distract myself because I'm uncomfortable with things that are going on, with feelings that I have about what he's doing in my life. He's taken a really long time to fulfill what he promised me, and for good reason. Part of what he's telling me is that I need to know how difficult it is to come out of Egypt. I need to know how difficult it is to come out of the land of slavery that I sold myself to. And I need to feel that, or I'm not going to know. If I didn't need to feel it, then he wouldn't be putting me through it. But see, I think that I deserve these little reprieves here and there to go distract myself with this and that, do this thing before, and say to him, wait a minute, God, wait a sec. I'll be right with you. Can you take a number? So I just wanted to share this with you because it's so important. I feel really blessed and grateful that this is what he does. Because I've known people I've loved, that I know God didn't do this with them because they weren't his, and they're gone now. And they lived a life of self, and they lived a life of distraction, and they lived a life of saying that they believed in God, but I didn't see them doing this. I didn't see him doing this in their life. So if I can listen and respond to what he's doing in me for a little while, I can gain an eternity that I didn't even deserve. And even though these moments are really painful, I deserve every second of them and more. I've been given an opportunity that I do not deserve. No one can claim that they deserve it. No one can claim that they don't deserve what I went through today for 2 hours of relentless pain. I hope that you will also be able to understand what it is that I'm saying and just think about this for your own life. Where do you need to sharpen? Where do you need to mold? Please discern this message with God.